Now we're going to move on to my update. Although it's somewhat still depressing, it's not as bad. I went to the doctor too, with honesty, and I got great news, guys. Paranoia's been acting up so bad. But that's what happens when you go and you get a heart monitor put on you, blood pressure monitor put on you for 24 hours, both of them at separate days. And then you have to wait like a month or so or more to get your results back. And you're wondering, you have high blood pressure every time you go to the doctor, every time you go to the grocery store, every time you go to the hospital, blah, 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 blah. It's high. Then you have the heart monitor, or the high blood pressure monitor on, and it turns out, I got my results, that it's not chronically high anymore, which is amazing because ever since I went raw in 2010, I guess I haven't had chronic blood pressure issues anymore, because I used to back before I went raw. And I cleared up my blood pressure issue completely. Like, I was normal. My doctor hadn't seen me normal since I was a teenager before that. After that, when I was like 19, 20, 21 especially, blood pressure just kept going up higher and higher. So my blood pressure is mostly stress-induced. Go figure. All the anger and resentment and everything has been too much for me to bear over the years, and it just keeps building and building. And I need to find ways to de-stress. Also, a bad part of that problem is that I eat to stuff feelings down or just to numb out, and then I'm eating a lot of sodium. So anyway, it's not chronic, but it's higher even in the lower point. So it was like in the 130s, my systolic, then over like 81 or something. So that's actually really good, as opposed to the 150, what was it, 156 over 94 or something. Like, oh my gosh, when I was at the hospital, just absolutely ridiculous. So he was pretty happy about that. He said, you know what you gotta do. You gotta lose the weight. Because every time I lose the weight and I eat healthy, the blood pressure issues go away for the most part. Except for last time, because I was losing weight, eating healthy, but I still have blood pressure issues. So we know what the other alternative to getting that blood pressure down is, and it's working on my stress. So I've been doing that. And I've been slowly succeeding. And I've been stepping up with telling people what I want and what I need in this life, from our friendship or relationship or whatever it is. Unless I'm not allowed to tell those people how I feel, then I don't. But I've been doing really good with that. Also, the heart Holter monitor results were great. There were no murmurs, no arrhythmias, nothing out of the ordinary. So he said, you're good there. So that burning sensation I was getting in my chest, I have no idea what it was. No idea. Maybe just a muscle cramp, not a muscle cramp, like a muscle ache. Could have been related to the tendonitis going up into the elbow and then up into the shoulder. Oh, who knows? I just wish my doctor would do some sort of like full body physical on me. Like, okay, let's go get an MRI on you. Let's get, ultrasound. Let's get this, that, let's draw your blood. Well, he actually did send me for blood tests, so that was really good. With the urinalysis, he gave me the results, and it showed that there was a high blood amount in there, but he was like, oh, it must have been that you were on your period, and blah, 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 and I'm like, well, why don't they tell you not to go while you're on your period? Hello, women have a period, so it should be stated that when you're on your period, don't go because it could skew the results. I went twice already, and they haven't said anything. Maybe the doctor was just going to leave it. I was like, no, I'd feel more comfortable going again, just in case. So he allowed me to go. The blood tests were for my thyroid, the liver, to check my bile salts, everything to do with the liver, just in case because of that itchiness. So, because I said to him, I'm like, I don't know, I've had this for a long time now, starting when I was younger. It's gotten worse since the pregnancy, And now it's really bad. Like sometimes it feels like fire ants are crawling on me, and I don't like that. So, and I've heard that there are conditions regarding the liver that can cause this. And when I was pregnant, my bile salts were going up. So I was like, just please, can you check that? So he actually listened to me and he checked that. And also my complete blood count and diff. So I'll find out whenever he gets those results, hopefully. Hopefully soon. That would be nice. I actually attempted going raw and stayed raw for almost a week. And then I started getting really stressed out. Yeah, I know. Here we go again about the stress and stuff. But I'm all about honesty. So yeah, I had a really bad few days. I don't know why, but it was basically right around the time where honesty really started having tantrums and like screaming a lot for no reason. It's like, and I was feeling embarrassed. Like and then I was frustrated that I was embarrassed. It's just that like where we live, it's close quarters to other people's houses, and like she's screaming and I'm not hurting her, but people are judgmental and they might think I am and then get nosy and like want to know and then mosey on over, and I don't want that. Like I like my privacy and I like my little life and I like choosing who's in my life, so that bothered me, and so I didn't know how to cope with it. I'm doing better now and that's great, but I just, at the time, I was like bawling. Like, I actually raised my voice at her, and I felt so guilty. Like, I was like, why do you have to scream? And like, here I am, like, raising my voice back. And then I just started bawling, and then like, at the same time, Matt was doing less and less and he wasn't helping out as much, and like I was getting flack from him, and all because someone in our lives suggested that since he goes to work he should have a lot more free time and shouldn't have to take care of her when he's home, and it should be the girl does everything, or the woman, and the guy comes home and he does like whatever he wants when he comes home. And we didn't believe that, and so I don't know what changed his mind. Maybe that's what he thought all along, but never said anything. But that's not how we work, so I doubt that. I think he's just trying to please these people. So he's been doing a lot less and finding reasons to not take care of her as much. And as you can tell, there's still some resentment there, but I'm getting used to it. Just I was really, really upset about it and having like a nervous breakdown, and I bawled in the middle of our living room and was like just pretty much in pain from crying, and my grandmother and aunt came upstairs and like, are you okay? And I'm just like, and Honesty's like in her chair eating or whatever, and I'm just like freaking out. They were like, look, we're gonna take care of her for a little bit. And so my aunt took care of her. My grandmother just comforted me, and I just started crying more. Like, you know that feeling when someone comes along and you're like upset, and then they like give you a hug, or they just tell you it's gonna be okay, and you have like an even bigger release from crying. And that happened, and it actually made me feel even closer to my grandmother. I'm already pretty close to her, but it just, that really helped. I had 2 days where first day was kind of bad, then that second day was extremely bad. And then our cat Boots got really friggin' sick. And I'm not like saying this lightly. I mean really sick. One morning, it was actually Father's Day, he looked like he had something wrong with his leg. Like he had jumped off of something and had a sprained leg, because he could kind of put pressure on it at first for the first day or two. And over the next few days after that, after already having like a nervous breakdown, all of a sudden he couldn't even like walk. He barely moved. I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, this can't be all just from a fall. We need to take him to a vet. And like on day 2, day 3, I'm like, Matt, we need to go. And Matt's like, I just don't want to spend money. And it's like, Matt, there's something seriously wrong with him. If we need to find a way to get that cat to the vet, we're going to. So we found a way, and thank goodness we did, because he probably would have died. His potassium was dangerously low. And that's not good. He had like paralysis. He couldn't like anyway, we brought him to the vet, and we brought him to the vet, and then he came home that night. He stayed for the day. He was on electrolytes, and I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking of this. Just bear with me. My cat is my family. My 2 cats, like, they're part of our family. So anyone who thought like they were gonna be less of a priority in our life, totally wrong. Comes home that night, first day at the vet, and he was fine at first. He was kind of walking around. Well, of course he was. He was on the electrolytes, potassium, and whatever. And then I gave him the potassium they gave me to give him. But this was like seriously one of the worst nights of my life, okay? And Matt doesn't normally cry for like anything. He cried at our wedding, he cried at his sister's wedding, cried during some movies that were really epic. But that's all he cries for. Like, he can't cry for any normal everyday thing or, you know, deaths he cries for, but I'm in the bathroom, and Boots is trying to use the litter box because we brought it upstairs instead of having it downstairs. And he went to get up and leave the bathroom, and he plopped down on all, like, splat, all 4s out. And his head smashed on the floor. And I couldn't believe it. I was in disbelief. I was like, we have to bring him back. Matt's like, I gotta go to work. And, okay, I guess we'll wait till the morning because we were bringing him back to the vet anyway. He couldn't eat on his own. He couldn't go to the litter box. The only time he would use the bathroom was when he was in his kennel, like a little cat kennel, when we would be transporting him, or cat cage, or whatever you want to call it. And he couldn't even use the litter box here. Anyway, when he flopped down like that, even Matt, like, that was it. He started crying too. And then he came in and we hugged, and I was like, we need to help him. He's such a good cat. I know a lot of people don't think that because he gets really cranky and possessive. But he's amazing to me, and he's amazing to Matt. And he's been really good to Honesty. He doesn't hurt her. He might have, like, pawed her because she pulled on his tail and whatever, but he doesn't use force. Anyway, so he was like, we're gonna obviously spend what we need to make him better. And we were like, he can't die. Anyway, over the night, Matt went to bed. And Boots started to get worse. Boots just couldn't move. Like, so I made it comfortable for him on the floor in a certain spot, and I put food and water near him, but he still couldn't get up for the water, the food, and sporadically I would bring him to the litter box and he couldn't go in there, and it just broke my heart. I laid on the floor with him, but I got super uncomfortable, and I figured I still want to be near him, and I know he loves cuddling. So I picked him up and I laid on the couch upright like this so I could hold him. And that's how I was going to try and sleep, but I couldn't. I think he was pretty comfortable because he was falling asleep a little bit. But then all of a sudden, there was no warning. I was about to fall asleep and then he peed. on me and on the couch. I didn't stop him. I didn't care. I know he needed to use the bathroom, and I can shower, he can get cleaned up, we can clean the couch. It didn't matter. But you could tell he felt horrible. Felt so bad because he actually flipped over and looked at me. It just, I could tell, because he, without fail, has never peed outside of the litter box. He was upset that he had done that, but I was like, buddy, it's okay. Whether you understand me or not, it's fine if that happened. And then after that, things just started going downhill even more. He was starting to like pant, and I'm like, oh my god, what the hell is happening to my cat? And so I gave him water with a syringe. I gave him food with a little butter knife, because he would lick the wet food off the butter knife. And we brought him to the vet as soon as they opened, and they were like, oh my god, like it got that bad. And I was like, yeah. They're like, okay, we're going to like aggressively hit him with some potassium here. They checked for kidney failure, they checked for diabetes, none of that. They were stumped. They have no idea what happened to Boots, why his potassium was so low. I remember Honesty like crawling up to Boots and like grabbing his tail. I'm like, no, Honesty, don't do that. Don't touch him. He's sick. And I bawled. This is when he could actually like move a little bit, and it was just like a limp on one leg. And one of the hardest things I've ever went through. And other than losing my dad, my grandfather, and family members, after that really bad day, they suggested he stay at the vet overnight. So we did that, and he made like a full turnaround. We are so amazed at how well he's doing, and we are super thankful to the vets who dealt with him and helped him back to him, you know what I mean? And so he's been pretty good, and he's his old self, and I am so thankful he's still here. I'm actually really glad I took the break, because I think I needed to be less distracted so that I could deal with the feelings of stress that I was feeling. Like, the breakdown I had wasn't due to Honesty being upset. The breakdown I had was that those people that were telling us what we should do with our lives, and Matthew doing less and less, along with Honesty, you know, screaming and having these new personality traits, it just was a little too much. I told Matt, like, I need you to help more. Do as much as you can. At least change her, feed her, play with her sometimes. Just be a dad. I said, here's the deal. You're going to talk to these people, since they've told me I'm not allowed to when it comes to my frustrations and my little criticisms. I said, you're going to talk to these people. I would like it if you would talk to these people, because I've had enough of being walked all over. I've had enough of you being walked all over. I've had enough of being told what to do. And if it doesn't stop, and if you can't stand by me, I'm leaving. I know it's not good to do the ultimatum thing, but, and I know he wants to keep the peace and such. However, he can't be walked all over. He is a strong-minded individual, and he shows it with me and everyone else. He needs to show it with these people too. I couldn't take it anymore, and I said, if you're not going to say anything, I can't stay in this relationship, because what's the point when as a husband and wife we can't have each other's backs? We can't be there for one another. And so he spoke with these people, and they have agreed to back off. Whether it's true or not, we'll see, because they've agreed to back off many times before about certain issues, and they still haven't. So I'll believe it when I see it for longer than a month or so. Back to the fact that I was going to attempt a raw food lifestyle, 6 days or something, and I was also doing a Renew Life cleanse, which had liver protection and a bowel type cleanse, and I was doing so well. I was actually following my old, I wrote a food journal of what I did back in 2010, and I was following that, and I was loving it. But at the same time, that's another thing that also caused my breakdown, is that it was a lot of work. Gosh, the last time I went raw, of course I didn't have a baby, but it felt so easy. I'm like, oh, it takes no time at all. It's because I had all the time in the world. I just, if I wanted to get up at whatever time, I'd get up, and then I'd slowly prepare my fruits and slowly prepare my vegetables. There was no time. Time had stopped or something, it felt like that kind of thing. And now, like, she needs to be fed at certain times, and she needs to, and I need to eat, and so I need to prepare my stuff, and I need to cut up my vegetables and put it in the blender, and like, holy crap, a lot of work. So I started getting upset about that. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I was starting to think, well, I'm going to do it in an easier fashion, and I'm just going to do like smoothies and like fruit, anything that's like easy on the go. But I was doing green smoothies where I'd have to use like 3 leaves of this green and 3 leaves of that one, and then blah blah blah, and then like I'd have to clean every single thing. Oh god, it was getting so time consuming. So I just said, you know what, I'm stressed out about everything else. I'm stressed about this. I'm stressed about my life in general. I have to stop. So I stopped, and had a hard time getting back on with eating better, and I still haven't really yet. So it is what it is. I hope to get back on slowly. There's times where I feel like I'm not getting enough oxygen, like where all of a sudden I'll just be sitting there and I'll go to take a deep breath, and it like it's really, my anxiety is really working up. So I imagine that's where that's coming from. I've had smelly urine and poop, and oily urine and poop, and even orangish poop at times. During the cleanse, one bad thing that happened was the lymph nodes along my left jaw got swollen, and then under my armpits as well. And it's been happening on and off since then. Not the jaw part, that went away, but under my armpits, and that kind of scares me because of course here I am on the internet, and it said something about lymphoma, which is a type of cancer, and people in my family have died from that, and like swollen glands too, and then there was fatigue along with that, the itchiness, the swollen nodes, all of it just seems to point to lymphoma. Either I'm paranoid or there's a serious issue going on, because your glands and your lymph nodes don't just get swollen for no reason at all. Hopefully with the complete blood count testing and the diff testing, that can shed some light on that. I need to feel good again. I need to get back to feeling like myself. I don't want to feel like this anymore. All this anger, all this tiredness, everything that's not me. The weight, I want to be me again. And I'm going to make myself be me again, because that's the only person who can. If I am sick, I'm not going to just lay down and take it. I'm going to work towards being my best self again. I've had a really dry scalp lately, and I've got a lot of open sores on my scalp, so that could be another thing to do with the candida. I never snore unless I'm sick or for some odd reason, but I've been snoring lately. That worries me. I've got weight on me. It could be sleep apnea. It could be just, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I don't snore naturally. And Matt has been telling me I've been snoring, so that kind of makes me wonder as well. I need to make an appointment with the doctor, obviously. Another reason why it feels amazing to be on this Facebook hiatus and Skype hiatus and texting hiatus is because it just feels good to have predictability, stability. That's all I want. When I have friends that say they want to make plans and then they never make those plans with me, I know it seems petty or something to be upset about something so little, but it's not little. If you're going to say you want to make plans and then you don't ever follow through with that, I don't need that. So I've been taking this time to think about what I'm going to do about situations like that. And I've decided that I'm just going to keep these people on my Facebook, but I'm not going to make an effort to say, do you want to hang out? Would you like to do something? Unless there's like a special occasion, but chances are they won't show up anyways. I have to start getting to bed earlier. With waking up early, it's taking a toll on me, physically and emotionally. I imagine that also added to the breakdown. Once everyone's in bed, I was like this even before Honesty was born, I have time to do stuff. And I have time to just relax and unwind, and I need that. But I can't do that anymore because I have to wake up with Honesty in the morning. I also want to mention that it seemed like when people would want to hang out with me, it was all clumped in to like the same week or the same 2 weeks. And I need space as well as time with people. And when it's clumped like that, I can't deal. I can't deal because there's no time for just space. And it seemed like everyone would be like, oh, well, I can't hang out with you this week, but I can next week. And it was always the same freaking week with, So I'd be like super busy one week, and then the next week I'd have nothing. I'm sort of bored sometimes, like when Honesty's napping and such. Anyway, I'm like, why can't I just have a flow of friends around? Like, why is it always gotta be this great big friggin' camel hump? Like, nothing, whoa, nothing, whoa, and like, just friggin' pisses me off. Realize how I'm gonna deal with that. I'm going to say, I'm going to be like them when they say, oh, I can't this week, or I can't, I really try to work with my friends to do things with them. Sure, there might be days during a week that I'm not available particularly, but I still try and make myself available on a weekly basis to whoever, but I'd like to spread it out. So I'm going to explain that to my friends. Well, if any of you are watching, I can't hang out with too many of you during the same week. So I really need you to be understanding and to work with me instead of against me. And it's probably not intentional, and I know you have things to do too. But if I really say that week isn't going to work out for me because I've already got other plans on other days, and you're like, well, geez, you've only got like 3 different plans this week. It's not like you're overloaded. To me, that's overloaded. Like, if I hang out with 3 different people in 1 week, I'm going to burst. 2 is pretty much my max. 1 at the beginning of the week, 1 at the end. And then the next week, another person. And then I'll see, that friend again 2 weeks later or something. It's just, it becomes too much when it's like once a month or something I see them. It's all of them during that same week. Thanks, universe. I really appreciate that. I need time for my motherly duties and my duties as a wife, and I need time to spend with my family. I wanted to take a month away from Facebook and all that as well, so that I could relax and do the raw food cleanse and eat well. However, being away from Facebook has become so much more than that, and I've actually been quite at peace and not been that bored during this time. I've still spent time with family and my husband and my daughter, and not worrying about when I'm gonna get notifications and how many I'm gonna get, and refreshing when she's napping, and sometimes when she's still awake I'll come over and refresh and then walk away. But it was an obsession, and I don't want to deal with that. So having that time away has finally allowed me freedom from being so addicted to Facebook and what it made me feel, the high it made me feel whenever I was seeing tons of notifications. Another thing I've been experiencing is oily face, oily hair, and a lot of acne, and big bags and milia, little white dots underneath my eyes, which have to do with the kidneys, so kidneys are being overworked, unfortunately. That's pretty much all I have for me for my update. Make sure to subscribe, comment below, share this with your friends, send me a thumbs up, show me some love. I want to thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, wherever you are. Namaste.